Good morning. Good morning. I hope you're having a good day already today. We had a short week this week. We had Memorial Day, and then yesterday I wasn't able to get online. Sorry about that. We had I was helping out one of our church members, and so good to see everybody this morning. Hope you're doing well. Made it through the storms okay, I hope. And boy, we're gonna start something brand new today. Galatians chapter 3. Galatians chapter 3. We'll be working on this today and Lord willing tomorrow. So, Galatians chapter 3, we're going to be in the first 5 verses as we study this. So, let me get my trusty Bible here and we'll read those first 5 verses. It says, "O foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you? It was before your eyes that Jesus Christ was publicly portrayed as crucified. Let me ask you, let me ask you only this: did you receive the Spirit by the works of the law or by hearing with faith? Are you so foolish? Having begun by the Spirit, are you now being perfected by the flesh? Did you suffer so many things in vain? If indeed it was in vain, does he who supplies the Spirit to you and works miracles among you do so by works of the law or by hearing with faith?" So we're going to talk about that today. All right, today and Lord willing tomorrow. So let's get this kind of going here. Okay, in just as a reminder, kind of refresh our memories. In the first 2 chapters of the book of Galatians, Paul, it's kind of autobiographical. He's been sharing his personal testimony. He's been sharing his story with us. How he got saved, what he was before, and what God has done for him. All right. Now, in chapters 3 and 4, he's going to give some doctrinal teaching. He's going to teach us some doctrine. Doctrine? Doctrine, he said. Some doctrine. And doctrine is what kind of helps support our faith. Okay. You ever saw somebody say, "I don't like doctrine, I don't like teaching, but teaching is important," right? Well, friends, it's very important that doctrine and that we have doctrine, because that gives us that foundation for what we believe. Right now, in chapters 5 and 6, he's going to become very practical in the application of his teaching. Okay, so he's going to give us the teaching. Then in chapters 5 and 6, he's going to give us the application of that. So he starts off pretty blunt. He says, "Oh, foolish Galatians." Now, he doesn't mean they're stupid. He means they're lacking in perception. One translator translated it, "Oh, beloved idiots." "Oh, foolish Galatians, who hath bewitched you that you should not obey the truth?" Now, he's referring there to the truth of the gospel that he mentioned 2 times in the 2nd chapter, in verse 5 and verse 14. Now, he says, "Before whose eyes Jesus Christ hath evidently set forth, crucified among you." Now, this only I would learn of you. Now he says, let me ask you a question. Received ye the Spirit by the works of the law or by the hearing of faith? So there's two prepositional phrases there. My English teacher would be so proud. Basically, he's saying, how were you saved in the first place? Were you saved by the works of the law or by hearing faith, by the hearing of faith? Right? In verse 3, he says, are you so foolish? Having begun in the Spirit, in other words, saved in the Spirit, are you now made perfect by the flesh? Have you suffered so many things in vain? He's saying, after all you have gone through, you're going to turn now from the truth of the gospel? He says, if it be yet in vain. Well, there's still a little bit of hope. He continues, he therefore who ministers to you, the Spirit, and worketh miracles among you, doeth he it by the works of the law or by the hearing of faith? So same two prepositional phrases again. Now, if we were to boil down all the religions of the world, okay, all the religions in the world have only two basic views concerning how a person can go to heaven and what salvation is. All preachers in the world preach only one of two ways to go to heaven. Those religions or those preachers either teach a works salvation or they teach a grace salvation. Now, the Apostle Paul has very clearly set forth in the second chapter that we are not saved by works, but that we are saved by faith in the finished work of Jesus Christ on the cross of Calvary. So he comes to the climax of that argument. And in that verse, that last verse of chapter 2, he says, if righteousness comes by the law, that, in other words, if you can be saved by you doing something, working for it, then Christ is dead in vain. So he's saying that if you can be saved by something you do, then what Jesus did on the cross was a waste of time. No point to it. Colossal failure. Biggest failure in history. If Christ died on the cross and it's possible for people to be saved by what they do, then he says Jesus died in vain. Now, there are some lessons to be learned there. There's 3 of them that we need to learn about salvation. Lesson number 1 is this: you cannot do anything to save yourself. Lesson number 2, God does not expect you to do anything to save yourself. Lesson number 3, God has already done everything necessary for you to be saved. And if you will learn those 3 lessons, there's going to be a great deal of comfort to your Christian life, right? Paul has already laid it out. You're not saved by a works salvation. And some religions do teach that you work and you earn your way to heaven. Those who flew the planes into the World Trade Center so many years ago, they did so believing that gave them automatic entrance into heaven. You see, that by that work they did, it gave them entrance into paradise. It was a work that they were doing that would guarantee their entrance. Paul says, no, you cannot work. There's nothing you can do to earn your salvation. Now, there's something rather interesting about this idea that you earn your salvation. It's kind of mesmerizing. A works salvation teaching kind of has this boy, it really does. It mesmerizes people. So it's something about our fallen nature that causes us to want to do something, to have a little part, to do a little something that participates in our salvation. Now, that's why Paul is saying, "O foolish Galatians, who hath bewitched you?" In other words, who's hypnotized you? Who's mesmerized? What's gotten into you? Right? Now, he's referring to those teachers who had come to the churches of Galatia, who were teaching this works salvation. The circumcision party, remember that? Those are the ones that's how we referred to them. And some people call them the Judaizers. Those teachers had come in after Paul and said, well, Paul was good as far as he went, but you have to do a little bit more if you really want to go to heaven. That's what they were saying. The cross is fine. Jesus is fine, but you have to work a little and add your work to salvation if you really want to go to heaven. Paul says, well, you've let them hypnotize you, bewitch you. Now, the word bewitch it's a graphic word, and it was used to refer to sorcerers who would put people under a spell. It would also refer to sorcerers who would cast the evil eye on someone. I don't know if you ever watch documentaries on television, and have you ever seen a snake mesmerize a bird? They kind of put that evil eye on the bird, and the bird just goes, ding. It freezes, and the snake comes up and gets the bird that way. Interesting. Years and years ago, there was a witch named Mahali Lancaster. And apparently Mahali's father was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court in the state of Georgia. Mahali had a law degree herself, and the story goes that she sold her soul to the devil in exchange for psychic powers. It's interesting, some of the stories that she had, but she was part of a movie that was made a lot of years ago, called Murder in Kalita County. And in that movie, she told the officials exactly where they could solve the crime. Pretty remarkable, if you think. People would line up at her house, and you couldn't get around or go by her house, but people would pay her money to tell them things. Now, it's interesting that she had this thing. She had she would go, and she would be on a what do you call it? Like a town square. She'd get a tent and go to these festivals. There we go. And she had one eye and a glass eye, and she would wear a specific cap or hat, and she'd be in that tent. And there were superstitious folks that would say, don't ever let her look at you. She'll put the evil eye on you. So they said kids would go running out of the tent and they wouldn't go by the tent because they didn't want to have the evil eye on them, right? Well, that's the background of this word. Paul's saying you've let these false teachers who are teaching a works salvation put the evil eye on you. And you are under the works salvation spell. Now, from that, Paul gives several appeals. And he gives it to them, but this applies to you and to me, right? We need to not allow ourselves to be hypnotized or cast under a spell of works salvation. Okay. So I think that's where we'll stop today. I think we'll stop there today. This is a good stopping point. How about that? So there we go. We got us a little head start. Got the intro out of the way anyway. Going into tomorrow, we'll be talking about the three things. There's 3 points that I want to give you tomorrow, if the Lord allows. Amen. Well, friends, I hope you have a great day today. I hope you stay safe, and it's supposed to be a beautiful day here in Middle Tennessee. Low humidity, temperatures relatively good. We don't see those days very often here at this time of year in Tennessee. So we're excited about that. So hopefully, wherever you are, wherever you're watching from, you'll you'll have a good day, a pretty day today. So be safe in all that you do. Hey, friends, know you are loved. You are loved by me, but oh, far more importantly, you're loved by Jesus himself. So much so that he died on the cross for you. And friends, don't don't let another day go by without sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ with those around you. Amen. Amen. Well, friends, until tomorrow, Lord willing, bye bye for now.